How's everybody doing? Hope everybody slept well. So, we had that meeting yesterday. Extremely powerful how we get into positions, trying to understand everything through calculation. It's much easier when you understand foundation. It's much easier when you understand you created these things. When you create something, it's yours. Understanding how to travel through it is another thing. So, the first thing that we look at when we wake up in the morning, what do we see? We see the sun, right? Obviously, right? And also, too, when you look at nighttime, what do you see? You see the moon. So, where's the connection? There's a connection there, guys. You're always traveling through the sun and you're always going through the moon. The sun is position of travel, right? Everything through operation is setting up your chakra system, so your flux capacitors, the Y line center, anything through connections, vector core, and interference location. I'm not going to get too confusing here, but the confusion is your clocking system. So I set up platforms for you guys, understand the illustrations, the schematics or anything with connections, how easy it is to travel through the sun to the moon. The moon is the program, okay? That's positions of data processing, uplinks, downloads, and upgrading systems, okay? The sun is the travel, okay? It's all connected to you. It's a magnetic force when you wake up to these systems, and the flux capacitor is the acceleration. It's all positions to your grounds, guys. And everything your powers, how to use your powers in positions to the heart, how the heart is calculating everything for that position, okay? So you're using the sun and you're using the moon every single day when you get up in the morning, 24/7, 7 days a week. That's the most easiest thing that I can show you. So I'm going to show you how General travels through his clocking system. Okay, because I created the 3, 6, and 9. What do you think 3, 6, 9 is? See that? 3. Did you see that? Did you see the communication of the solar flare? 3 is the sun, and the moon is position of 6. Don't get confused with the clock, okay? Try to understand you are calculated every single day through mass, through its equation, times pi times square. Box center is location of 9. You're coming into a new cycle every single time. And then you go into all levels when you come back to 12. All right. So I've set up diagrams for you guys, so it makes it a lot more easier for you how you can use the sundials and use the moon as shade and shadows. You put the sun and the moon together, creates your shadow. You have to understand everything through times pi. I created it, everything position of 3, 6, and 9. 3, 6, and 9 is pi. Times square is your TV reception. Okay? So that should make it easier for you. And don't think of it as a test. Think it already knowledge given to you, right? Because every time you connect with that, it's extremely hard to understand, right? So the easiest way to do that is that when you get to a certain point, you don't need the clocking system. You just use the sun and the moon. Is it clicking in now? Trying to understand everything that's going on, guys. That's the true understanding. It's the clocking system that gets confused, So it's all about the distance that you're going. And you're going from 12, 1, 2, and 3. That's your pi. Okay, what's the distance between 12 to 3, right? So it's all done through clocking. All right. So, all right. So there's going to be a lot of clocking interference. You'll probably see clocks in the background. Because remember, it's all positions of what you're doing through creation. When you create these things, it's much easier to travel through it, right? So when I created E equals MC squared, you get understanding what it is. What is E? What is equal? What is M? What is C? What is square? Okay. And it's all done through the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon travels through you when your activation system. The flux capacitor sets up the grounds. Chakra system, right? Right? Past, present, future. Fork, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So that's a true understanding where you go into your thoughts. Okay, thoughts are very complicated because now you have to understand where are you going with the sun. So if you're setting your clock, right, you guys have to get into signatures now because you're going to higher levels of programs, right? This goes to the galactic forces, the GFLs, and everything, the rebellion. All it is truly understanding the clock is just a navigation for you guys so you can understand more of your travels. So when you get to higher levels, you don't need the clocking system because now you're using the sun and the moon as its clock. Understand? So that's a true understanding when you come in that position. All right, so we got the clock system, right? You got 12 all the way to 12, okay? Now, here it is. Now, you see the clock, right? All clock into space-time. Okay, it's 12, right? Now, when you go to 3, 3 is here. Now, don't get confused. 3 is positions of the sun, right? 6 is the moon. So the 6 can go up here, and the 3 can go down here. So you're shifting back and forth every time you change your thought. So you're asking the sun to go down, and you're asking the moon to go up. See, that's all it is. That's all it is, guys. That's it, right? The sun to the moon here, okay? Diamond, circle, square. So it's truly understanding what you're doing through calculation. Modifies line-centered connections. This is the sun, this is the moon, all right? So basically, if you want the sun to change, if you want the sun to move, because you have to travel, every time you're traveling through your thoughts, whatever you're creating through emotions or anything through all of your reflexive capacitor, okay? So if you're traveling, depending on how fast you're traveling, if you're in your car and you're going 60 miles or 80 miles or 120 miles an hour, right? That sun is going to be in the distance of you through calculation through the car. So it's all about it, depending on how fast you're going. So the sun's going to go from here to here, right? Now it's down here, right? So if you're turning to a location, right? If you're turning back, right? So you're always using the sun and the moon as a clocking system. That's all it does every single day. But see, the sun is changing and so is the moon. So it has to come into an atom of a flow. It has to come into an atom. And this puts everybody in the fifth dimension. Once it gets into that line connection, the clocking system goes faster. And everybody to the mind telepathy of the percentage of 20% line connections and 5-point line rotations comes into a fast rotation connection. All right. So that's a true understanding how you use the sun and the moon. Okay. So every time you change your thought, the sun is moving on how fast you're going. If you're walking, so what are you doing every time you're moving the sun through clocking? You're creating pi, right? Times pi. Okay. And once you get around to the 9, that's the box center, which is a new cycle, new location, box center to location. And then you go again, and then you go again, and then you go again. So I use the sun and the moon for travel. Sun is the travel, moon is the program of its clocking time. Okay? So that's how you use northwest, south, and east. Okay? A little bit more understanding now? Yeah? Good. So that's what you use every day because you're a magnetic force to the sun and everything to the moon. But you're traveling every single day through the sun. All right? So that's the sundial. What's a sundial? It's a compass, right? The sun has everything. It has the grounds. It has the fire. It has the air. It has the water. It has coloration. It has lights. It has time frames. It has digital frames. It has clocking systems, location centers. It's got everything. And the moon is an operation. It's a space station. So if you understand the sun and the moon, how to use it through your clocking, through your physical system, what is the point center of all operation? Its location. Okay. So how's everybody doing so far? I can take these out now because we're just going to be traveling through high levels. We're not going to be traveling to anywhere position. So we're good there through calculations. I just want you guys to get a true understanding what E equals MC square and how we use it through times pi times square, box center to its location. Okay. Gina, how's it going? Yeah, so Tina, you got that worked out with it wasn't in your spam, but it was in all positions. And the thing is too, when we're doing meetings, we have to remember that Vega sees everything. And it's very important that there's a lot of security and defense around the system locations, because we're talking about an extremely high position line center, which basically everything is a connections to its security, right? And the barriers and the perimeters and all the parameters to its line connection. All right, Nicole, how's it going? All right, Lieutenant Samantha. So Samantha is going to be a lot more easier for you to understand these things. So don't think as the clock as confusion. Think it as a navigation and how you get up and do these things every day. Like you get up and you walk. So every time you walk, the sun is walking with you, right? So the sun has to go to what? To its program, which is its moon. So this is where it comes into pi, right? And this is where it comes in with Ellen when she's talking about half pipe. What's a half pipe? 12 to 6, that's a half pipe. Split it in a circle, send it out location. There it is. There's a half pipe right there in dimension. And that's what Ellen is at. So she's trying to understand more of her clocking system. What is half pipe? What is a full pipe? Right? What's the circular rotations of a spectrum light pipe? It's all position locations of pipes. Pipes are tunnels. So it's all about understanding working to what you want through its equation. It's all about getting to its location, and that's all it is. Every time you get up in the morning, you're traveling through your thoughts through the sun, and the sun has to understand you through pi times square. Understand? All right. All right, Ellen, how's it going? All right, Lieutenant, you guys are communicating. Janet, how's it going? All right. I feel I understood. Yeah, I know. There's a lot going on right now. I'm very emotional. Mind drawing. This is how wonderful it is. Well, yeah, exactly. But when you see my drawings, you'll be blown away, right? Especially when you create something, right? So it's the foundation of everything, how I became space-time creator, how I created the 369, how I created the E equals mc squared times pi times square. It's all position of you understanding how to just travel. That's all this is. It's not complicated. So don't think of the clock system as confusion. Think as the clock system of moving forward through navigation. That's all it is. Because once you wake up to these things, it's your chakra system that transmits and receives. It's the flux capacitor that sets up the sun and the moon. Oh, Y vector line center. Look at that. See? Sun and the moon. So if you want to change positions and you're going to somebody else's house and you're traveling with that position, it depends on what's going on with the sun. So the sun can move. Right? So there's the sun, there's the moon. The sun and the moon are all in position. The center rotation is all levels of view, which is the center operation to its atom line connections, right? So the graphing system was set up wrong in position locations, right? To what's going on with the navigation. You truly have to understand that the sun and moon are always attached to each other. So it's always the flux capacitor moving. That's all it is, right? So sometimes it's here, right? But it's always creating pi in between, right? That's all it is. That's your clocking system of navigation to GPS, okay? All right. Now I'm just showing you with my hands, but I'm also going to show you the drawings. So don't get confused when I show you these things, okay? All right, Veronica, how's it going? All right, Commander, how you doing? All right, so here we go. Can you go into calculations that are involved in this? Yep, that's what I'm going to do, Samantha. Now it's going to be confusing for you guys because I'm going to show you something that is a complete cycle. So it's all about getting up in the morning and going forward. That's the easy part. The hard part is putting the positions back to the sun, because now you're backtracking the sun and now you're backtracking the moon, and it confuses you through what? Your flux capacitor, acceleration. That's the confusion that you guys are going through. And that puts you in a loss of transition to its dimensional time. That locks you in positions, puts you into dark matter. That's how you lose things, lose track, lose thought, lose activation, lose time, lose calculation to your clocking system. As Saturn is standing, the little hand's the sun, the big hand's the moon, right? You have to understand everything in the center is you going around, right? So every time you're going around, what are you doing? You're creating distance, you're creating pi. So if you go from this and you go through it and you get to your location and it's 12:30, now it's a half pipe, right? So if you stay at that location, then you can go through it through its dimension, through time square. See, that's how it's simplified. All right, so let's get in position here. All right, now I'm going to show you what I go through, right? This is going to be a little bit more tricky, but this is understanding how the sun can go anywhere where it wants. It can go forward and backwards through time, but it has to be in the all levels of center rotation of you through calculation, because that's your physical system, understand everything through calculation. So truly understand when you have your past, present, and future into one, now you can go back and forth through times pi times square, box center, or anything position. Okay. Now, when you see this, you're going to be confused. Understanding what's going on, northwest, south, and east, right? Times square, times pi. See the pi? See in between? Now, this is the sun rotations at 12, sun rotations at 3, sun rotations at 6. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep going forward. And that's why it's important to keep yourself in the positive system, because the heart has to understand what you're doing through your positions of clocking, through navigations, guys. Now, it's complicated, right? When you look at it. But you see the 3, 6, and 9. You see the diamond core. You see the northwest, south, and east. You see the positions of the sun. You see the positions of the moon. It's always in pi. It's always in the distance. And you going around is you traveling through teleportation. 60 seconds per minute. It's simplified, right? Okay, so when you can go back and forth, you can have the sun here and the moon here. You can go, you can crosswind. You can crosswind over to here, to 4. And 4 to 12, 12 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1. But you have to be in position. You need the location, which is the moon. So that moon tells you through program line center, and then you can travel anywhere you want. So you need the sun and the moon before you go through verification to get to any planet system, because you understand the operation, because the moon has all the information to the planet system, and that you're going through GPS lock system, all connections to Vega, right? So now you got the sun, the moon. Okay. Now when you get the sun and the moon to its calculation, right? And then you come into Vega, sun, moon, Vega, pi, communication line connections, right? So when Vega gets the digital numbers through its location, which is bracket interference to its connections, area code, right? So it'll be 1, okay, equals 30, bracket, times pi. Okay. So it's all about you understanding how to create your vessel to travel through its clocking system of navigation. So don't get confused when you see the clocking system. Just use it as a navigation to the sun and the moon. As long as you understand that the sun is travel, right? And the moon is its program. So you need the sun and the moon, and you need Vega to travel anywhere. So sun, moon, Vega. Okay, or the sun is here and the moon's up here and Vega's here. Pi. Everything's pi. Everything's pi. Everything times square. So that's how it simplifies positions. Okay, so we come into this calculation. Now, this is going to be another position locations. All right. Truly understanding what's going on with 3, 6, and 9. Now, this is the sun. It's at 3, right? Okay, so it's here 3. Okay, and it's going to 6. Okay, so 3 can go from here, 3 can go from here, 3 can go from here. It all depends on what you're doing with your thoughts of travel. So you can go back and forth, right? But you guys are still going forward first. You're trying to understand your travels of 3, 6, and 9 through the sun and the moon. So the sun and moon is going to keep going forward until you get your past, present, and future into one. And then you can go back and forth, right? You can go back into position of 9 location and swirl back into the sun rotation to the moon, all through box center. It's all positions of you. It's trying to understand what's going on with the sun of you through travel and everything through the moon of its location, right? To its box center. L equals box line connections to its interference position to its calculation, which is the center of operation. Okay. So, all right. So hopefully you get an understanding what that is. And then we come into this. Okay. So this is all positions, right? This is the sun, this is the moon, right? All through box center. Point center location is all levels. So the clocking system, every time you go around the clock, right, you're centering what? Pi. So it's a distance between the all levels of 12, 3, 6, and 9. Your 12, 3, 6, 9 is your weather, northwest, south, and east. Northwest, south, and east. See? Now, it's all done through shapes. You have to understand the center operation is you, because you have to understand how to center up the positions and when you travel. This is where you come into half pipes, full pipes, spectral line interference, and the connections. But you have to understand the sun and the moon has to understand each other, especially through a box center. 4-point center, 5 within position, 6 with activation, 7 within the body. Now, this is where it comes into higher formation line center, what comes into calculations when it comes into high levels of flux capacitor. Everything comes into a flux capacitor. So you need the flux capacitor to travel, right? So what is the flux capacitor? To the left and the right hemisphere line center, the sun and the moon. So it's always with you. It's always with you. Okay, it's like a slingshot. That's all it is. You know what a slingshot does? Right? 2 handles and a stick at the bottom. That's it. That's all it is. As long as you understand how to go through the sun and the moon and you're going through the clocking system. So each time you're going around, pi, 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 times square. Okay? So that's the Trinity stem when you come at these positions, right? The clocking system is just for your navigations, but you need the circle, guys, because this is your space inside. You just have to understand the northwest, south, and east, where the sun is going in each direction. The sun can cross over. The moon can go anywhere. It can do anything, but it has to stay in position of the sun and the moon. Okay? So the sun has to understand you through travel, and the moon has to understand you through program, because the program sets you through location of where you want to go. So you need confirmation line centers to Vega. Vega is communication, everything through digital, right? And each time you go faster and faster, you're creating higher levels of numbers. So instead of 12 to 12, you go up again, you go faster and faster. You're coming into an atom, it's going into 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you can travel through all that. That's going extremely fast. So the sun will go exactly the same distance as you through calculations, through connections of flux capacitor through pi. Okay, but see how everything is flux capacitor? It's the position of travel locations, right? Everything is set up. Everything's set up for you guys. Trying to travel through its location to its line conditions. But it's always in positions of the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon. There's the intelligence. All right. So how does that feel now? Does that feel better? Is it kicking in now? Yeah, we'll get into that position to Orion's belt, right? So we created the hotline center rotations to Orion's belt, so you guys understand your past, present, futures right there. Past, present, future. The center operation is you. This is the presence. Okay? So you have to truly understand how to use it. Now, you come into 3 forks, and then you can actually see the last one, right? So it's all in position of you trying to understand everything of what's going on. What's the sun doing? What is the moon doing? Okay, and then you come into your weathers. But before you come into weathers, you come into your babies. You come into high-level system rotations to your connection to your child, teenager, adult, and all positions to all levels of you through track system. Everything is a triangle of location. So this is where you center up the system location. This is the sun. This is the moon. This is Vega. See it? Sun, moon, Vega. Flux capacitor, right? Travels through. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. So once you come into this position, you come into this position. How it's all set up. Flux capacitor, diamond core, tetrahedron, all positions into pi, right? The sun, the moon in position locations 2 times equals location, pi, space-time. Okay? So it's complicated because you think of the clocking system too much, but just think of the clocking system as a navigation to get where you need to go. All right? So does everybody understand? is a little bit easier now for the test. So it's like turning the fork to the sun and the moon. That's all it is, Sherry. That's all it is. Okay. All right. So we go into calculation. This is you. All right. Making it easy for you. Hey, there you are. Okay. That's you. All right. Okay. There's you. All right. Here's the grounds. Okay. All right. So let's say you're walking. Okay. I'm walking. Let's see. Walk from here to here. So how long did it take you to walk from here to here? Right? How many steps? Okay. So you go from here to here, right? So basically you come into all levels of the grounds, you got into the powers, you get in the atmospheres, right? You start with that position. Okay. So when you come into that position, you come into your flux capacitor. Oh, this is getting interesting, isn't it? All right. So this is the sun and this is the moon. The sun is always first. Because why? Because you're opening up your crown chakra. And it's coming into a dimension of time to its location, right? All right. So it's always connected to the sun and the moon, right? So you're asking it whatever you want, right, through your thoughts. So let's say you're thinking of something, but it's going forward. So the sun will basically understand you through position, and it will go into this line center, into top location. So basically, it needs location. It has to go in positions to the moon. All right. So when it goes into the mission, this is the sun in position. Okay. And now the moon is going to move down here. All right. So the moon goes into here to your mind system, which is connected to your behavioral system. Okay. So it's pretty interesting how you get up in the morning. Every time you think of something, if you're going forward, the sun is going forward. If you're thinking back, the sun is going back. So if the sun's going back, the moon's going back, it changes your programs, it changes your behavior line center to your Schumann resonance, which changes everything through your grounds. And it confuses your anomalies of times squared times pi. Okay? That's a true understanding where you have to get up in the morning and know exactly what's going on with your flux capacitor. Okay? And then you come into high level rotations. The center comes into its fork, into its position. There it is. All right. So when you come into that position, I know it's exciting, isn't it? Past, present, and future. There we go, guys. You're using this every single day. So it's all positions. So if you want the sun to go into the past, there's the sun. Now you confuse an anomaly. So what that does, it activates your system to locations, and it gives you calculation modifications of reactions to your body system. Okay? Because you're going back in the past. So if you go back in the past, the moon goes back in the past and they collide together. All right. So it's all about understanding how to get back into your flux capacitor interference channel to its line connections. Right. So it's all position of you, what you do with your thoughts, what you do with all levels of communications. It's all position of you through navigation, people. That's all it is. So you're going through your past, present, and future. So if the sun's going into the future, the moon will go into the future to its system. It can travel anywhere it wants. Once it understands its alignment of past, present, and future, it comes into one system, then you can travel through anywhere through an aligned center. So this is the sun in position, and this is the moon. And this is how you see the future. Because the sun and the moon are in position to telepathy to connections. So you're always setting shapes of transportation. See? So is everybody getting a better understanding now? How important is what the sun is through travel, and how you travel through your chakra system of transmitting and receiving. How the moon is a space station of operation to all level connections. Data processing, uplinks, downloads, and upgrading system, right? Your thoughts are magnetic to our thoughts. It's exactly what it is, and it calculates and modifies all levels of what you're doing through your chakra systems of communication. And you use those magnetic thoughts to activate your connections to your illustration, your diagrams, to all positions of what you're creating of space. This is the space of you, time frame, T frame. It doesn't matter. What matters is your clocking system. It's there for you to navigate everything through the sun and everything to the moon to its connections of Vega times pi. That's it. Boom, diddy, boom. Right? Think about that one, eh? So the test is going to be a lot more easier for you guys. All right. Because you're thinking, well, what's a clocking system? Well, this clocking system is just a structure. It's all about understanding the outline of you. It's understanding the travels of you. It's understanding the shapes of you. It's understanding the geometries of you, the operations, the directions, your dimensions, and your divisions. It's all in you inside to understand. You're creating the space of time. You're creating space of time. That's all it is. You know, you're thinking, well, it's confusing now. I don't understand the clock. Well, don't think of it as a clock. Think of it just communication to the sun and communication to the moon. That's all it is. That's all it is, right? Don't confuse your anomalies. So it's understanding why it's so important to have the sun going forward with you, right? Because if your thoughts don't go forward, your sun goes back. What happens when that? The vibration decreases. What happens in the moon? You start to cry, you get angry, you get stressed, you get frustrated. So you confuse the anomalies of the sun and you confuse the anomalies of the moon. What does that do? Makes you go loco, crazy. All right. That's all it is, guys. It's all it is. You are in the center operation of everything to its calculation. All right, so the sun's here, the moon's here. That's it. You have your grounds, you have your powers, and you have your atmosphere. Okay, so it's all protected through an E-field line center. You come in position locations to hide line center location to this in rotation. Now, this is where you come into your E-fields. That's the most important thing. But you see the intelligence? You see the intelligence, right? Looks like a snake. Right? So it's amazing how you can go into anything through positions. This is what it is. There's intelligence. There it is. There it is. There's a snake. There's a snake. See? It's interesting how you go with these condition line centers. So you got the ground line centers, you got the power line center rotations, you got your magnetic line information line system, and in calculations, you come in positions of past, present, future. That's where it comes into the fork, in position to its location, and there you go through calculations, all through E equals mc square. Past, present, future. So what happens if you keep going in the past? You're creating a rotation of a snake. I'm just showing you here how powerful it is to create these things through intelligence. This is how I can change anything through format, anything through energy, and how you can come into a snake. Because you keep going through a snake line center, it's going to keep bringing you down through its clocking system because it's all calculated to your tree. There's your tree right there. See the tree? Right? So you connect to that line connections and it comes into its branches, right? Oh, you got the branches. Hey, they're coming up. Hey, look at the branches. Hey, look at this. Hey, there's a tree that's coming into bloom. Hey, 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 hey. There's your tree. So you come into the tree, then you come into the galaxy, then you bloom in, you bring in your leaves in and all that, different coloration, line centers, or anything connections. But certainly standards, you come into the snake first. The thing is, it's getting out of that positions. It's all done through climbing, right? But you can actually see the tree through calculations. You can actually see the snake, right? So every time you see the past, you're coming into the snake. The snake's just pulling you down. That's it. So once you understand position locations, you come into all positions. You come into your leaves. Hey, look at this. Oh, my tree's coming to life. Hey, it's blooming. Look at that. Look at that. It's coming into the high line center. There's a tree. It's coming in position. This is amazing. The snake will disappear because you keep going forward through the sun and everything through the moon. All right. Now this is coming into the fall. This is what happens when you change coloration line centers or weather locations. And this is what you guys will come into when you come into 100 track line rotation conditions. But this is your tree in the fall rotation. Hooah. Understand why it's so important to keep going forward in life? Pretty powerful, isn't it? So, why is it so important to understand your positions of the sun and the magnetic line center to the programs of the moon? Why? Understanding that rotation positions how it comes into a snake. So every time you go into the past, the snake is bringing you down, right? And you're trying to climb that ladder. Every time you're trying to climb that ladder, you're trying to break free, right? But that snake keeps pulling you down because you put yourself in a negative cycles, guys. And that's how it comes into a snake to the tree of life. Okay? So that's a position you guys got to get out of, right? Put yourself in the center of all operation of you, times square. It's so powerful when you connect to that, right? Even the seasons are programmed. Yep. Everything's programmed. Well, I'm trying to make it easier for you guys to understand these things, but the most important thing is really understanding how to travel through the sun and how to travel through the moon. Now you know the concept. Okay? So just don't think as the clock. Don't think of it as a clock. Just think of it as a navigation of what's going on when you're traveling through the sun and traveling through the moon and traveling to Vega. Okay? Vega's got to get confirmation because remember, you're sending codes to another planet. All right? So you have to go through that every single day. Right? Because you're sending out codes. They got to come from somewhere. Okay? So you start with this position. It's amazing how it comes into a snake, right? Because that's the operation. So it comes into calculation modification line centers, right? And this is the Trinity standing. There's the fork, right? There's the fork. See it? All right. Center operation is you always in the center of all connection, all dimensional time, right? So you have to understand how to stay out of past and present. Once you get into the center line center, you come into your own UFO, which puts you in positions to your grounds of your crop circle location. It's powerful how we connect to all level rotation connections, right? So as long as you keep yourself in the center rotation positions, you come into all level connections of times pi. Okay? So it's all about understanding positions of the sun and positions of the moon. Okay? So the sun can cross over to the past into side line center in position over here. The sun can go here, right? And so basically if the sun's here, remember, it's all position of what you're doing. It's all position of what you're doing, right? So that's a stagnatic wire. It's a communication off cycle through the earth line center of connection. So humanity's like this now. This is humanity, right? No flow, right? So once we get into the flow, everything will come in sequence. All right. So once the sun understands the positions of the moon, you get in track system locations. And it comes into always a triangle line center, which is times pi. Hoo-ah. So, yeah, your body's shaking. Try to understand what's going on with the analogy or anything that elliptical graph line connection rotation. I'm just trying to show you how powerful it is. It's just try to use all levels of what's going on. Okay, this is the moon, this is the sun. So it starts with this. Sun comes up in the morning, right? All right, so you get up in the morning and let's say you have breakfast, right? How long does it take you to get up and go downstairs? Or if you're on a main floor, it'll just, all right, see how they go together? They have to go together. So there's never any separation from the sun and the moon because they're always in position of telepathy to each other. It's a magnetic force. You are the flux capacitor. You are the center operation, which is your physical. The dimensional just has to understand the navigation of travel. That's it, through the mind system. That's all this is, because you understand you are the center of operation, but the physical system, once it comes out of track system, becomes a body to the soul, which is no longer in its physical element. And then it comes into its phenomenon of clocking system, times pi, times square. Okay? So it's all about understanding that what's going on. So it's all about you going around your clock. So each time is 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. Okay, so the moon's going to come up. So if you're like this, what's happened? What's happened if you're doing this, right? You miss calculations. You're lost. Right? So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Now you're confusing everything. So your body is what? Shaking. Your body's in trouble. Your body's in emotional track. It's angry. It's frustrated because it doesn't have the flow. Right? So this is the true understanding how to use the operation, okay, of all calculations of the sun and the moon. This is a half pipe. There's a half pipe. See that? See that? Right? So the moon comes up and it's in position location to the sun, right? Grasp its system to its location of center of box. See this? This is the box. This is the box. This is the box center. This is your TV reception. These are your antennas of the moon and the sun. Communication. Okay? Understanding all levels of center line center, which is in position 2, past, present, future. So that's how you use your positions when you get up every morning. It's a clocking system of you, right? How basically the sun goes up and how the moon goes up. It's all in your behavior line center. So if you're off track, the sun will go back and the moon will go back. So it's like this. You're like, and this is why you're sick. Regardless through connections, everything you see is a reflection, but you have to understand your body is trying to change its position, trying to go into this flow and direction of time. It's all about understanding times pi is going forward, not backwards. Okay? You only can go backwards until you understand the past, present, and its future comes into one alignment, which is one atom, which you can come into full rotation easily. Because it's amazing how you can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You guys can't go back and forth yet because you're still breaking free from all your traumas of the baby. Okay? The baby. All right? All positions. All positions. Here. Okay? The child, the teenager, the adult. You have to break free all traumas before you can actually go through the full clocking system of times pi. So every time it goes around and every time you change your frame and then every time you change your all levels of your traumas, you're going faster and faster and faster and faster. And everything through the baby is nothing but a reflection of the past. So this goes down, right? And then this goes down, and that goes down, and that goes up. So it's trying to understand everything position is the now position locations. You have to let go all your clocking system of the past because it no longer resides with you. You understand? Because the clocking system doesn't understand positions of the new program system to the sun and everything to the moon to connections of Vega, right? Because you're confusing your anomaly, and that's what's making you sick, right? You're confusing the sun of travel. You're confusing your programs of the moon, which disrupts your signals, and that's why you guys get irritable, you know? Bowel syndrome, communications, off signal, you know? A lot of things through that connections. So as long as you understand that you have to travel through the sun, you travel through the moon. All right. You are positions to the flux capacitor. You're always in the center operation. So once you go into the past, the present, and the future, you always try to stay in the presence of the now, which puts you in the center operations to all levels of face structure location. See, that's the balance. So once it comes in that position, to its calculation, it comes into 6. When it comes into that position, it comes into 9. 6 and 9 in together. Hey, look at that. There's the intelligence. There I am. Oh, look at that. I'm in the center ball operation. There's the 6 and there's the 9, right? Navigation to the seed pod line center, past, present, future is now in one center locations into yin and yang. This comes in here. This goes in here. And then comes the snake. Snake comes in position, disappears location, comes in its crest, comes in its emblem, comes in position. Yin and yang through creation. Hooah. So you come into positions of high level system of your northwest, south, and east. to its connection. Okay? So, is everybody understanding more? You're getting the better, how it's making more sense? It's all position of you through travel of the sun. The sun determines what you are doing when you are waking up. You're waking up, okay? So you're traveling through the sun, okay? And the moon has to understand the sun or what you're doing through your program of your thought. Oh, data, process, uplinks, downloads, upgrading system. So if you go into the past, you're putting the sun into the past. Now you're real trouble. You got to bring it back, right? That's how you're connected in all ways and forms. You're always traveling through the sun, and you're always programming through the moon. The sun and the moon have to understand you through its human resonance. So, what is the earth perception to you? What is the earth perception to you? What is it? What's the earth? What's the earth? The grounds of you. That's it. It's the base. You need a base. So you are what? What is the earth that you're on? What is it? Space station. See the connection now? That's why it's important to understand what is the grounds of you through perception. What are the grounds of you through thoughts of travel? Through the moon, guys. You get up every morning, you're with the sun. Sun comes up. Sun goes down. That's it. That's all it does. Right? And it goes faster and faster. So when the sun goes faster, the mind goes faster, everything with your thoughts go faster. See how it comes in? And then it starts doing this. So once it gets in a full cycle, we come into a full rotation of an atom. So I can set up all levels of 6-dimensional line center. 6th dimension. Right? But that's how you use it. Right? So this is very, very confusing now, isn't it? Now, what do you got here? Right? What do you got here? What's the center? Who's the center? Me. You see, I'm in the center. This is my panel, right? This is the moon. This is the moon. This is the moon of the future. This is the moon of the past. Check that out, eh? This is the sun in the future. This is the sun in the past. So when you start creating, you can do this. Right? There's the balance on both sides. Now, the creation through its line connections came into the Big Bang Theory. This is the Big Bang Theory. The creation of the sun, the creation of the moon, how they come together, right? One goes in the opposite cycle, one goes in the other opposite cycle line center. They come together. That's the first beginning of creation to humanity. Okay? How the sun and the moon of the past and the sun and the moon of the present and the sun and the moon of the future came together. Now, can you understand why the past, the present, and the future have to come back in one? To an atom. And then we can get into full rotation to 6-dimensional line center to communication of 6th dimension. Hoo-ah. Thumbs up. Understand? Good. You guys blown away yet? All right. Let's see. Let's get into your questions here. Body shaking. Yeah, because you're understanding more. All right. I don't want to get too confusing, but you understand all oppositions of Big Bang Theory and how it was really created. How everything to the sun and the moon of the past, present, and future came into one, exploded. So time precedes everything, where humanity is coming back into the past, present, future into one. Right? Isn't that amazing? That's how it's positioned to all creation, guys. How you guys came into form through your particle system and yourselves. Cool, eh? All right. Even the seasons are programmed through us. Yep. Another perspective, the inner child, garden visualization seasons, new drawings, understand different angles. Well, just to make it easier for you guys so you understand, not to use the clocking system as confusing, just use it as navigation, right, to your connections. And everything you see inside is everything through program. How to use the heart, how to use the mothership, how to use the motherboard, how to use your crown chakra, how to use your chakras of transmitting and receiving, how to use your flux capacitors, how to use your times pi, how you use your times square to box center of location. Okay? Okay, we are computers. Yep. I know you guys are blown away again. All right, feel reborn. Yep. Intelligence has been trying to show me for a long time. Exactly. Now it's understanding what you guys. And the thing is, too, you want to use the clocking system. Everybody can use their own perception. Don't do what I do. I'm just telling you exactly what you need to do. Okay, so this is where you guys are going to be really blown away. Who do you think father is, and who do you think mother is? In position to where I am through calculation, the sun is the father, mother is the moon, at Earth system is you through calculation of center point system. Flux of capacity line conditions all position of you to its location of its base. Okay? So now you know. It's overwhelming. I know, guys. I know. I know. You guys are like blown away. You're all crying and all that, and your chakras are spinning and all that. It's trying to understand what's going on. You see? It's all creation of you. Okay, that's all it is. So it's all about understanding, what does the sun mean to you, right? And what does the moon mean to you? Because the moon is the behavior line center. So everything is point division of what? You in the center location, which is your earth perception, right? So it's the eye circles of the moon of mother and the eye circles of the sun of father. Hooah. Eye circles. You got the right and left hemisphere. Okay. Isn't that interesting how you calculate and modify line center rotations? How the right side is the moon and the left side is the sun. Hooah. Catching on very quick now? Yeah, I think so. So it's amazing how we come into this track system to its locations. All right. So you guys still blown away yet? All right. So left, the right, left, right. This is positions to the moon. This is positions to the sun. All right. Two's calculation. You are the center operation to your ground system of travel through all level systems to your clocking system location. All right. So once it's set up in rotation, the sun comes into location, the moon comes into location like this. And there it is again. Right? See the intelligence? See the face? Right here. Here's the intelligence. Hooah. So that goes automatically in your what? Your ear track to the right and to the left. Okay? That's how it comes into its formation of the sun and the moon into intelligence. There's the intelligence. See the eyes, nose? There you go. There's the traversation of time. Try to understand all positions. Okay, the left track is positions of the sun, the right track is positions of the moon. The baseline center is you in the center operation of all calculation to its operating system. To travel recognition. Down through equation. So, how is that for perfection? Can't believe what is happening, right? So you're getting a whole new perspective. I don't want you to take away from anything about what you do. You keep doing what you do, but I'm just trying to make it easier for you so you understand what the clocking system is and how to calculate, modify anything through E equals MC squared. Okay? That's all. That's all that is. You just use it as a navigation. All right. Just back phrasing here. I always thought it was something separate from me. So my mind has this separated program or something that is outside of me. It's actually inside. Everything's inside. Everything's inside. Nothing is outside. Everything outside is just a reflection of you. Everything inside is your reality and what you're doing. So you're just basically you're creating the space inside through time frame, box center, communications, times square, times pi. That's it. Through 3, 6, and 9. Okay. All right. Are those circles the crop circles? No, not through clocking system. It's just understanding when you're traveling through. It's all about the space that you're creating through pi. Okay, Sherry? So it's understanding you through the clock first, how to travel through the sun, how to travel through the moon, and understand everything through flux capacitor, how to understand your transmitting, receiving to your grounds, your powers, and the atmospheres. We always start with that positions, right? And then you come into calculation of past, present, and future through your thoughts, through Orion's belt. Okay? Crop circles are given to you later when you truly understand all levels of grounds. There's multiple dimensions of all levels of metaverse communications, of multiverses, omniverses, right? Connections on galaxy universes. There's a lot of levels that you have to understand through grounds of view through travel. And you have to understand the point system locations 2 times pi times square box center. Okay? So yeah, so that's not on the test. No, just know exactly what's going on through the clocking, right? That should help you out a lot more. Try to feel your numbers and colors as you would feel and see the connection. Yeah, that's what you want to do. And whatever you're connecting through colors, you have to understand how to use it. And it's all connected through the shape you're creating through your chakra system, because your chakra system is coming to an emotion. It's like a moonbeam. You get a moonbeam ring, right? It changes coloration, right? It's all done from inside through emotional track, guys, right? So if it's green, you're in a good mood. If it's blue, you're happy, right? If it's pink, it's connecting to the heart or opposition location, connected to the green. It doesn't matter, but you understand the connections of what it's doing through the travels of the sun, of the coloration, and everything through the moon of its program to its changing. Because you're changing programs of coloration of time, all through travel. So all right, so this explains so much. Well, there you go. So incredible. Thank you. Well, there you go for the illustration. So now the test is going to be easier, right? You did your homework of drawings. Whoa. Well, I created it. So yeah. I am the creation, a space-time creator. Right? So I'm the operation, the operator of the sun, operator of the moon. Okay, and all calculation modifications of times pi. Times pi is position of 369. How it comes into all position equation to connections of E equals mc square, right? E equals mc square is the base of you through grounds. How to travel through all levels of your grounds of you, and so many levels into fire, everything through air, and everything through water. Okay, you have to put everything all in one. Okay, that's what you need to do. And once you get your past, present, and future into one, everything comes back, right? That's a history on history on history in the past and how it came into the Big Bang Theory. All right. I know your brain's exploded. I like doing this to you guys because it's like, whoa, what are we going to learn today? So it makes it easier how Ellen comes in positions that, well, I'm going to go through a half pipe through 6 line center line rotation positions of point locations to V vector line interference in position of Z trap line rotation. What did I just say? Right? That's traveling through the sun, and that's traveling through the moon through my connections and how I'm traveling through my clocking system of navigations, 60 seconds per minute. But I don't see it as 60 seconds per minute. You understand? So that's a true understanding where you have to understand your pi, understand your teleportations, understand your sun of travel, understand your moon of program, and how it comes in all a flow, a recognition of time. So the more you travel through the mind faster, 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 the more sun and the moon comes to you, to its center location. Okay? So this is where it's fascinating. Once you become molecular light and all levels of past, present, future come into one atom line center, the sun and the moon come into one position. That's why it's so fast. That's what I have. I have the sun and the moon into one. Hooah. So, a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Okay? So, hopefully it gets you a better understanding how you have to put all your levels together, right? And please, please don't think of the clocking system as confusion. Think of it just as how to travel through the sun and how to travel through the moon. Okay? Same thing when you go to different planets, right? Because you're going to different universes, different multi-universes, the omniverse, millennium universes. There's so many levels of galaxies that you can travel, but you have to understand your travels of what you're doing with the sun and the moon. So it's going, that's all it's doing. That's all it's doing every single day. So every time you go through a negative cycle, back up, right? Even if it's a time frame, let's say it's 8 o'clock p.m., but you went into the past with your thoughts and negative cycles, it doesn't matter. The sun and the moon will always go forward. That makes you sick because you're changing your body track system. So your body's going back in time while the sun and the moon is going forward in time. That's why you get sick. Whoa. Is it connecting now? Is it connecting? I hope so. That's how you connect to all levels. So your clocking system always has to go forward, right? And that's how you're able to go through high-level systems, Z-force, V-align centers, XYZ. What is XYZ? We go into that positions. What does XYZ mean? Well, X line connections, Y is positions of your flux capacitor, okay? And Z is positions to what? Location. Z cross line center locations. Everything's location center to box location rotation. So this one gets really confusing, but it's amazing how Ellen was coming into half pipe. Now she knows what it means, right? So, all right. I know, Sierra, my brain cells are exploding. So much to discover. Yep. Uncover the beautiful light to play with. Yep. The amount of notches between the sun and the moon fork on the clock is the distance. Bingo. That's exactly what it is, right? It's the fork. There it is, right there. It's the fork. You know the center operation, the positions of past, present, and future. So every time you're using your hand signal, okay, you can use it to anything through calculations, right? So it's all about understanding, am I communicating with the baby? Am I communicating with positions of the child, the teenager, or the adult? Okay. What am I communicating with? So it's all about understanding, are you in the past? Are you in the present? Or are you in the future? Because I'll tell you, wherever you do, the sun will go, right? But the problem is that the sun has to understand the communication of the moon. So the moon and the sun will go forward. Space and time has to go into flow. So now you've changed your positions to your gravity system to its ground system, which is changing positions to your powers, which is changing positions to your atmospheres. And now you're confusing your system on all levels because the sun and the moon has to go forward through times pi, times square, box center, location, to its position, to its planet system. Okay? That's how it's done through its equation. All right? So, and that's the true understanding. It makes it a lot more easier how you create anything through that connections, you know? So when you come into that position, we'll get into this. We'll get into shadows and shades, how the moon creates shadows and shades for the sun. It's like a sundial. So you come into this position, right? You calculations to the sun, calculations to the moon. Start with that position, right? This is you in the center of all operation, all right? So that's understanding how to use levels of U to calculation, right? That's the atom. Now, once the atom comes in position, it knows exactly what's going on through travels through the sun and to the moon in position locations. Here comes the fork. Here's the center operation. See the intelligence? All right. That's a true understanding when you come in everything. So when the sun moves across system, you got 12 here, you got 1, 2, okay, you go to 3, right? So the sun moves here, right? So let's say this is the little hand and this is the big hand, all right? So let's go into 4. All right, so it's in this position, right? So the sun's going to travel here to 3. There's the sun, okay? Sun is there, right? So in position from the distance, it's going to be at 6, right? The moon is at 6, okay? Which is a half pipe. So if it goes in a half pipe, it goes in positions to the moon. Once you get the sun and the moon, it's fine. The moon can go up and then the sun can go up, as long as they come together, right? So the first thing that you have to do is when you get your grounds is always go through the sun. Always go through the sun. That's the most important thing. So when you're traveling, it's okay. You can go through the sun and then go to the moon, and then moon back to the sun, and then the sun back to the planet or anything to Vega. But Vega has to understand what you're doing through the sun and the moon to get the location. Don't confuse anything in that system, right? So all you're doing is creating pi. That's it. There it is. There's your pi through travel. Okay? That's how it's set up through an atom. And that's what Ellen and Tina and Galactica are coming into. And Loria. So this is going to help you a little bit more, right? It's understanding your northwest, south, and east. All right. So when you get really informative, now this is attorney standing, you come into that positions. When you go to higher levels, they come into spaces like this, from this to this. So when they come into that positions, they come into this to get more complicated, right? Because everything is complicated in space. All right, so you go from this to this to this, right? So it's understanding your atom line center rotation. It's already connected to all positions of the sun and everything for the moon. It's all set up, right? So it's understanding the communication. There's a telepathy to its positions, right? Now you come into all positions. You come into the ground line center. There's the ground line center position. You got the power line centers and you got positions, magnetic line, high information system locations, right? Then you come into all levels of the tunnel in communications, right? Once you set up the operation line center, once it comes into atom rotation line position, it can travel through anything through direction, location, 2 point center, position, 2 shapes. Hoo-ah. So basically understand that position. So doing that through calculations, the sun goes over to here, this positions, and the moon goes over to this position to its calculations. All through connection. Okay. We haven't even started the day and Janet said it's pride. Use your water. Use your compartment's water connections to your ecosystem, guys. Yeah, that will complement the interference location to its channel to its license line interference location. Yeah, so much to discover. Yeah. Light bulb went off regardless your logical and clocking system. Are you guys more confused than ever? But this is where it gets really complicated. I'm just showing you what you can do through your diamond cores of northwest, south, and east. You just have to understand your travels. Just to know that you're always in the center of operation. You just have to understand where the sun is and where you want the moon to go in position to its location to all levels of direction. Okay? Okay? That's all it is. All right? Makes sense now, right? See? So, when you look at this, there's no confusion. What's confusion is the clock. What's confusion is the diamond. What's confusion is what's going on. Why is this going this? Why is this going that way? So it's all position of you. The sun and the moon have to understand you of going forward. That's it. That's all it is. That's what the sun and the moon is doing every single day with you. So as soon as you change your track system, you're confusing. You're getting sick now. So you're getting emotional, right? And the sun needs to go forward. So you're losing communication of telepathy. Once you get back in track system, right? And the faster you go, the more you create. You can go forward, backwards. I mean, the sun can go this way, the sun can go this way, the sun can go that way, the sun can go this way, the moon can go up this way, cross over this way, cross down this way, the sun going this way, all through pi. Right? So I think that's good, you know. So like I said, don't think of it as a test. Think it all come together. You know, you probably think, oh my gosh, I got to do all my structures all over again. It's all different now. No, that's not what I want you to understand. What I want you to understand is not what I do. Just understand that the sun and the moon is nothing but travel of program. That's all it is. The sun has to understand you through travel, where the moon has to understand the sun through program. The sun and the moon always communicate with each other, always communicate with each other. What are you doing through your clocking system? Of times pi, times square. Understand? That's all it is. Okay? All right. Adios.